All right. Welcome to Community Conversation. I'm not going to read the full script. I'm done doing that. Sam and I are going to talk about nutrition. Community Conversation, you guys hear from the members, but we also try to educate you guys too. So right now, Mike's actually running through his leadership series. We're going to continue doing our nutrition series. And what we want to kind of maybe get you guys thinking a little bit about is kind of how to approach like Halloween a little bit. I mean, we all know that Halloween is going to involve like lots of candy and stuff like that. I mean, sometimes when there's any type of event or holiday, there's kind of a few ways that you can approach. You can approach it as this thing has like complete control over me. Like if I have this, then it's like, I can't control the amount I have. It's almost like an excuse more than anything else. And the other thing is the reasons why some of these things get really hard for us to have. Like, why is it sometimes difficult to, control the amount that we consume when we have things like Halloween candy and stuff like that? And we think it's important that you actually have that stuff still and that you don't fear it. You're able to have it. And what Sam and I want to talk about today is, maybe some stuff that we can think about. And it's not just about, putting that piece of candy in your mouth, but it's thinking about your day and your week and your lifestyle as a whole and what could potentially lead up to that being a very difficult, type of treat to consume in moderation. So, Sam, Halloween candy, let's start off. What's your favorite? Twix.
And it's a long answer because I used to like everything with peanuts, and then I found out like a year ago I was allergic to peanuts. So I have to think hard because I can't say like Snickers anymore. But Twix is the top. What's yours, John?
Wait, you can't have Snickers anymore because
no, I'm allergic to peanuts.
Is this a new allergy?
Yeah, as of like a year and a half ago. Yeah,
that's a bummer.
Yeah, but it's okay. We still get to eat all the good stuff.
I like Almond Joys. It's one of those that you either love or hate. I love it.
I'm with you. Those are so good.
So these are, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely going to have an Almond Joy or two. Probably have 5. That's usually like, that's my number right there. 5's my number. I'll have variety on Halloween, but anyways, why can it be hard to have something like candy and not want to eat like the entire bag?
Yeah, so candy is like high satiety when it comes to like when you're looking at foods, because it like has sugar, it has fat, it has some protein. Low satiety, right? Like it has all these things and like it makes you want more, but it's not anything that's like gonna fill you up, right? And so like you have this piece of candy and it's like, oh, that tasted good, but it's not filling you up. And so you want more. And if you're someone who doesn't have candy on a regular basis, like you put it on that off limits list and you refuse to have candy any other time of day, it feels like if Halloween is the day you're going to have candy and you have this low satiety food, you're instantly going to want to eat it all in one sitting, which I don't know about you, John, but I would not recommend doing because you're not going to feel great. Not going to be a good Halloween for you if you eat the entire bag of Halloween candy.
I also think too that a big reason why some of those things can be difficult is because we crave them. Like why might we crave like those foods that are sugary and salty and like really like high calorie, what you would consider like your not healthy foods to go ahead and eat. And I think a big thing is, and I don't know about you, Sam, but if someone's consistently not eating enough food, like, isn't that what your body's going to start to crave is like high calorie foods because you're not eating enough? Right.
Yeah. So, fun fact is sweetness is the only taste we're born craving because it literally equates to calories. So when you're a baby, it's like sugar equals calories. So that's what we want. So yeah, as an adult, same thing. If you're not eating enough, you crave it.
Yeah. So if you're like, a lot of times people are, let's just say, a lot of us are trying to lose weight, right? So if we go ahead and we cut our calories really low, and then, or we're even just saving it up for, okay, on Halloween, I'm going to have some candy. So we've basically deprived ourselves all week. When you get the opportunity to eat something like that, it's going to be really hard to not want to consume it in mass quantities, right? Because your body's finally getting an opportunity to get some calories that you've been restricting yourself from having for, let's say it was several days, several weeks. Maybe this is a cycle that we're noticing where it's like, okay, like restrict. The weekend comes, I'm going to like go ahead and be a little bit loose. And you have the best intentions of just having like, that one treat, but it ends up turning into like this massive like binge cycle, because it's really hard to have willpower when your body's saying, no, that was good, let's keep going. Like you don't get that same like fullness feeling that you'd be getting if you would consistently be eating the amount of food that you should be eating. So my question for you, Sam, is for people that do have the goal of wanting to lose weight, like how do we go ahead and learn like, okay, well, how much is the amount of food that I should be eating, right? In order, like, let's say I want to lose 10 pounds or 5 pounds or whatever it is, for whatever reason. Like how do we do that without like, running into these, like, I feel tired all the time, like miserable, this is unsustainable. Like what's some advice that you have? Like how can someone
I
think
feel
of
like,
Halloween and still have that as a goal?
so I feel like my first advice is always like, you gotta trust what your body's telling you. And like listen to your hunger cues. But the problem is that's not really super easy for most people, because the way that we live life kind of doesn't really let us follow those hunger cues all the time. Or we work so hard dieting that we like don't listen to those hunger cues. And so if you're like, I don't know what to eat, and you're feeling tired and lethargic all the time, then like come holidays, this is where like all the challenges arise. So the best thing you can do is figure out what your daily calorie needs are. And I think we've touched on this in other podcasts of like your total intake should be your basal metabolic rate plus your purposeful exercise plus the thermic effective food plus what I call like your like day-to-day activities, right? Your activities of daily living. It's neat in like technical terms, but what you do during the day. So like walking across the parking lot, grocery shopping, cooking, cleaning, all those things. So everything you do in the day is building up to what you should eat. And if you're trying to lose weight, then you subtract a couple hundred calories to be in a calorie deficit. Across the week, right? If you've done all the calculations and you've done the math, and don't worry if you don't know how to do that math, we will help you out. It's very specific to the individual. So that's something that you should definitely sign up for a nutrition consult with myself or John and come take a body scan if you'd like to know your exact needs. But basically, once you figure out your needs, you subtract at most probably like 250 calories if you're trying to lose weight, because we don't want you to be in too far of a deficit. Now, that varies person to person. And if you're in a bigger deficit than that 250 calories per day, you're probably hungry and you're probably tired. Like once you hit the 2-week mark of eating too low calories, that's where you're really going to start feeling it. So if you come to these holidays and you're like, wow, why can't I stop eating candy? That's like flashing red sign of you're eating too little. And I went into a very long explanation there, John. Did I answer that question or no?
No, you did. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I think the takeaway is that there's no rush into getting to that goal, but if we try to take shortcuts and things like that, it's gonna be really hard to be able to make it sustainable. There's also like so there's this term in the nutrition space called metabolic adaptation. This is if you like constantly are restricting yourself of calories, your body starts to get this like pattern of, this deficit being too much. So you almost like, if you know anyone that's ever done like a bodybuilding show or anything like that, your body does like literally whatever it has to do in order for you to burn less and fewer calories. Like you'll literally blink less You will feel less motivated to get off the couch and just go, do any basic activity. So some things that you can maybe pay attention to is if you don't feel motivated, you feel tired all the time, and you're really struggling to go ahead and like lose weight, if that's what your goal is, I guarantee that if you were to eat more, you would probably see faster results. Sounds counterintuitive, right? Eat more and see fast results of weight loss. But the reason why is that like your body literally doesn't want you to like eat that little, that it's going to send you increased cravings, which just make the whole process like very hard to even be able to stick to. And you're going to burn fewer calories when you go ahead and you actually do your workout. You're not going to perform as well. You're going to have a harder time building muscle. So I actually have a client that is a runner, and they were under eating, gave them like 500 more calories, and they lost 5 pounds in like 3 weeks. It's crazy. Eating more calories on a daily basis resulted in that, and they don't feel like shit all the time. So if this sounds like you, where you're just like, we're talking about this because this is why some things we can have that reason of, okay, like I'm addicted to sugar. This is a trigger food. And we shouldn't have these foods that seem like triggers to us if we're actually eating enough calories on a consistent basis. So when we have those things, it's not such a shock to your system that you just had like 100 calories in a bite size of like basically pure sugar. And then, your body's like, that was awesome. That was, quick energy. Let's just keep on signaling for that, because, we understand what that tastes like. We understand what that is. So you start to go ahead and get that response of, sugar or hamburger or whatever it is that it's easy to go ahead and overconsume. Like, so if we kind of think about this a little bit, guys, is, if you're hungry, like ignoring that hunger signal because you're trying to go ahead and be very like willpowered into sticking with your nutrition, it's actually counterintuitive, because you're not going to be able to, willpower is not what you're going to be able to rely on. You have to create habits, and you have to go ahead and you have to also have your body trust that you're not going to overly deprive it, right? You can, like, in order to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. But if you're being overly restrictive with not only your food choices, but your caloric needs in general, like it's going to be really hard to have, 3 pieces of candy on Halloween. That's going to be, if you have that, you're going to want to eat an entire bag, and then you'll be like, okay, that's a trigger for me. Like that shouldn't be happening if, we have, a good relationship with food, and we're also not, eating 800, 1,200 calories a day because the only thing we have is meal replacement shakes and salads. That's when we're going to start to feel like crap. And that's when those foods are really difficult to have in a balanced diet.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. And it's your ringing phone reminded me of like how important like that. No, it's all good. It's perfect because it ties into this of like, when you deprive yourself of all that and then you get that like one piece of candy, it's like a huge dopamine hit, right? It's like the same thing of like why people feel like they're like on social media all the time. It's like, if you feel like you're addicted to sugar, the reason is probably because what's happening in your body is that like you deprive yourself all the time. So when you get it, it's like dopamine. And so your body wants more of that. And so so by not allowing yourself to have that on a regular basis, like that one experience is just so intense in the body. And of course, you're going to crave sugar in that capacity. So like we say all the time, like everything really truly in moderation, and like don't deprive yourself of that like experience, whether it's candy or like having a drink with your friends on Halloween night, or like taking part of like an appetizers at a party. Like all those things can be eaten in moderation, and then you're not setting yourself up for failure in the sense of like needing that dopamine hit 24/7. John, do you have some strategies for like people who are like looking at Halloween coming up and are like, yeah, you guys are totally describing me. Like, what should I do right now to like make sure that I'm not overeating on candy every single day of this weekend?
Yeah, I would say that So the serving size for Halloween candy is like 2 to 3 pieces. I would say exceed that and have 5. And the reason why I have 5 is because you're not going to totally like ruin all your progress if you have 200 calories of Halloween candy. Most serving size of Halloween candy is like 3 and it's like 150. So let's say like you're having 200 calories of Halloween candy and you just have like, you move on, like, right? Like it's just, that's just, it was tasty and it was good and no guilt associated with that. It's not a problem. It's only a problem if we make it like an issue where we're like, oh my God, I did something wrong. Like I can't do this again. And then you throw all your Halloween candy out and then Karen brings donuts in the work the next day and you're like, fuck. And then you're right. And then we just have like, oh man, like whenever whenever you have that food that you don't think that you should be having, and that's like demonized to you, you're almost like, okay, I got to get this out of my system. Right. That's where we want to work on not having that all or nothing type of like mindset when we have like a piece of candy. But my advice is just give yourself like a limit, and don't give yourself a limit of like 2 pieces of candy. Cause that's like, it's bullshit.
Not very fun.
It's not very fun. Yeah. You only have 2 pieces to choose from out of this pillowcase of bag that you brought home. Right. Like let yourself have 4 or 5 pieces of candy and you're going to be fine. Right. But like put a limit to it. Right. Don't have 10 or 15 because you feel bad about it. Like go ahead and have 4 or 5 pieces of candy. Enjoy it. Pick some of your favorite ones. And, if I'm eating it and I know that I'm going to have 4 pieces, I'm probably going to enjoy it and not eat it super fast. Like, right. I always say this, like, if I were to go ahead and have, if someone were to say, you can have as much cookies as you want, but you can only have a cookie every 10 minutes, the odds of me overeating or eating a sleeve of Girl Scout cookies is very low. I don't have time for that. Right. So if you slow yourself down a little bit when you're eating those things, be a little bit more mindful with it, then that's also like a really good strategy is, slowing the pace of play, I guess, right? Like enjoy.
Yeah, taste your food.
Yeah, taste your food, like fully chew it before you put another piece in your mouth. Right? What about you, Sam? Any strategies that you might give to someone that might be a little bit worried about having Halloween candy?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nose of like pace yourself. You don't need to have all 70 pieces of candy in one sitting. Like if you buy the bag of 100 and you still have 50 left over after the trick-or-treaters come through, like it's okay if that lasts you like 4 weeks. Like it's really okay if that's in your house, as long as you're like realizing that candy can be part of a healthy diet. Candy can still be part of a diet that helps you reach your goals. You just have to do it slowly. Taste your food is the biggest one. And I like to think about like, I think when, like we have a lot of parents listening to this, right? Like when you're giving your kids their Halloween candy, you don't let them sit there and eat the entire pillowcase because they feel terrible. Like look at this as food of like, how does it make you feel? Like if you have 1 or 2 pieces, like you'll feel fine. Like it's just a little bit of sugar, a little extra fat, like maybe there's some nuts in there. It's just food. But if you go ahead and you eat 70 pieces in a row, you are not going to feel good. Like physically, you will probably feel ill. And like, why do you want to do that to yourself? So go into like any eating situation being like, what do I want to get out of this? And as long as like you want to eat food to help yourself feel better and to get yourself to better health, like if you look at it big picture, then like, you're not going to eat 70 pieces of candy in one sitting. 70 is aggressive, maybe like 15, right? Because like you're going to have a stomach ache, your head might hurt, you might feel like your blood pressure is rising just because you have so much of sugar coming into your body all at once. So like eat what feels good for you. And then make sure that you actually enjoy every bite of what you're eating, because candy is delicious and it is meant to be enjoyed. And I'm a big proponent of keep it in your diet as long as you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So, if you're going to have candy on Halloween, maybe don't have ice cream after lunch, like, like checks and balances. Like maybe make sure you're eating a lot of nutritious foods that are going to fill you up and provide you with enough calories in your day. And then have the candy, like totally fine. My last piece of advice is have 5 different pieces of candy. Don't just have one. Like, you got to have 5 different ones, different textures, different flavors. Enjoy each one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So if you're listening to this and you're kind of like thinking to yourself, let's say it's Halloween or it's Thanksgiving or it's Christmas or whatever it is, if you're thinking, like if there's any worry that's going through your body, why don't you think about talking to Samurai and, kind of like, explain to us why you might be feeling that way. We can help you with that. But hopefully this podcast episode was helpful to some of you. Sam, any last things that you want to add before we sign off?
Just enjoy your candy. If you needed permission to eat candy this weekend, you have my permission and you have John's permission to have a couple pieces of candy this weekend. I feel like some people need that explicit direction. So I'm giving it to you now. You're allowed to have candy. You're allowed to enjoy every bite of it. And happy Halloween, everyone. I feel like we got to say that. That's this week, right?
Oh yeah, and wear an awesome costume. I think this comes out on Thursday, so tomorrow you better have a sweet costume because there's going to be some candy at the gym too, and you get candy. Have a nice costume.
John, you have one picked out already?
My Halloween costume? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being Ash Ketchum.
I can't wait. Oh, it was supposed to be a surprise. I thought you were going to shock us all.
Do you
but
know
that's
who
okay.
Ash
That's a good
Ketchum
one.
is?
Yeah, Pokemon.
Oh, there you go. All right, you just went up a rank in my book. Nice.
That's all it takes. No Pokemon, and you're good to go in John Collette's book.
Want to be the very best.
All right, everyone. Thank you for making it this far. And like John said, if you have any questions or concerns, come talk to us. We're more than happy to listen to your story and hear you out and kind of help you through navigating this nutrition process. If you have future topics in mind, please let us know because we like to talk about the things you want to hear. And with that said, happy Halloween, and we hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.